Hey guys, want to build a robot? Welcome back, guys. This video is a part of our series all about the new Rover robot. In this video, we're going to be covering Chapter 3, how to program the onboard buzzer of the robot to make all kinds of awesome sound-based projects.
The rover's buzzer is located directly underneath the ESP32 and is hardwired to pin 19. Since the buzzer is hardwired just like our RGB LEDs, getting started is really easy. Let's give it a shot. Projects 1, 2, and 3 were all about controlling light, and Project 4 is about controlling sound. We're going to start off by creating a simple melody using the Tone 32 library. If you remember back to controlling our NeoPixels, we needed the Adafruit NeoPixel library, and the Tone 32 library works in the exact same way. It provides us some much needed background code to make our code a little bit more simple. Now, the only downside is the Tone 32 library is not published in the libraries manager like we saw before, but thankfully it's just as easy to add in. So there's a second method for adding in library files, and that's what we're going to focus on right now. The first step is heading over to the Sketch tab. Then Include Libraries. And this time, instead of Manage Libraries, we're going to click on Add.zip library. Now, if you head to the Arduino Libraries folder on the flash drive that came with your kit, you'll see a few libraries that we'll be using throughout the course of this book. Now, we've already installed the NeoPixel library. What we want is the Tone 32 library. Click on the file, hit open. Now, I already have this library installed, so I see this message here. You'll see a different message at the bottom of your screen letting you know that the library was added. Once you see that message on the bottom right here, you're good to go. Let's go ahead and take a closer look at this code. The very first line calls the Tone 32 library that we just added. Next, we have two variables. The first variable, buzzer pin, is the physical pin that we have our buzzer hardwired to. In the case of the rover, this is pin number 19. This second variable is a little bit stranger, and we're going to get into this a little bit deeper when we talk about motor control, but this is setting up what's known as a PWM channel. PWM stands for pulse width modulation, and it's really just a fancy way of saying a digital frequency. There are 16 PWM channels on the ESP32. And since computers start counting at 0, 0 is the first channel. So we're setting up the very first PWM channel to control our buzzer. Now, in this case, our void setup can actually be empty. Down in the void loop is where things start to get interesting. Now, these lines might all look the same, but if you look closely, this note plays a C, this note plays a D, an E, an F, a G, an A, and a B. So what we have here is a scale. Now, every time we want the buzzer to do something, we need two lines, the tone and no tone. Now, the tone command has a lot of information. The first is the pin that we're trying to use. The second is the note we want to play. This third number is how long we want the note to play. In this case, in milliseconds. So this would be half of a second. The last thing we have is the channel. Now, since the buzzer pin and PWM channel stays the same, it's really only these two variables that we need to change. Now, in this case, we have them all going for half a second. And so the only thing that's different here is the note being played. Now, the no tone command does exactly what you think it would. It takes the pin and the channel and turns it off. So in this case, we have notes C through B that will loop over and over and over again, playing half a second each time. Now, in the Rover eBook, this is called Tone Demo 1. And so you can either grab it from the flash drive, grab it from the ebook itself, or type it down right now. Either way, whenever you have it done, go ahead and upload this to your rover, and let's see what happens. Sure enough, our onboard buzzer is playing our first simple melody. All right, we have our buzzer working. It is time to take this code to the next level. So this is going to be a pretty simple change. Now, in the book, this is called Tone Demo 2, and all we're going to do is add in a little bit of tempo. And we can do that by adding in a simple delay. Alright, so all we've done here is added in a 1/10 of a second delay in between each of the notes. And that's not going to make a huge difference. But whenever you upload this, you'll see that now there's a slight pause in between each note. While adding a slight pause isn't all that exciting, we'll see pretty soon that by changing the notes and changing that delay to create other melodies, we can end up doing some pretty awesome stuff. So once you have the delays added in, go ahead and upload this to your Rover, and let's see what happens. Okay, so we know we can make different notes, we know we can change the tempo, and it's time to take this a little bit further. So in the book, this is called Tone Demo 3, but here, we're gonna make a few changes here. So for the very first note, let's go ahead and change this guy to E4 for 175 milliseconds and a delay of 10 milliseconds. Then, let's change the second note to E4 for 175 milliseconds with a 100 millisecond delay. Then we'll keep the third note at E4, but change it to 200 milliseconds with a delay of 100 milliseconds. For the fourth note, we'll change the note to a C for 200 milliseconds and set the delay at 10 milliseconds. The fifth note, we'll change the note to E4 for 200 milliseconds with a delay of 100 milliseconds. The sixth note, we'll change the note to G4 for 250 milliseconds and set the delay to 400 milliseconds. And lastly, we'll change the last note to G3 for 500 milliseconds and make the delay 1000 milliseconds, or 1 second. Now, this should be way different than our other example. Let's go ahead and upload this to our Rover, and let's see what we got. Sound familiar? Now, what's so cool is that with a few changes to the melody and the tempo, we can make our Rover play anything, in this case, the Super Mario theme song. And so that's just one example of so many different ways you could add sound to your projects. For things like alarms and notifications, the possibilities are endless. And with that, we'll reach the end of chapter 3. Be sure to stick around for our next video all about programming the motors. Thanks for watching, guys.